Welcome to the Millennial Monologues podcast, where we talk about anything and everything relating to the millennial lifestyle. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. My name is Alyssa.
And my name is Lexi. Thanks, guys, for watching on Tuesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. We appreciate ya. So today we're going to be talking about things that a lot of millennials can relate to. It's budgeting your money.
Mo money, mo problems.
More money, more problems, as the white people say.
Right.
We're going to be talking about ways that you can save money, budgeting money using apps, getting a new apartment or new dorm, and figuring out how to spend your money wisely. But not only that, but how to not only make money, but keep it while still living comfortably and while still eating, because I know that's kind of a problem with people our age.
Yes, definitely. Still eating.
Yeah, so we're just going to be kind of touching base on anything that reflects on all of those topics. I'm a little winded because 1 minute before the show, I had to go to the restroom, so I ran out there and then immediately ran back.
She decided that instead of going to the restroom 30 minutes beforehand, like I did, that she was going to try for 45 seconds before the show started.
You know thanks a lot. You know what's sad, Alyssa? I actually did go to the bathroom 45 minutes before, but I just drink so much water that I'm constantly going.
I hate her.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting over this sickness, and my voice is kind of scratchy, and I might be coughing and stuff.
You sound terrible.
Do I?
No.
Okay.
No.
Jeez, Louise.
Yeah, a little bit terrible.
Yeah, my voice is not on par today, so I apologize to any new listeners. I may not always sound this terrible. But yeah, if I start coughing or whatever, Alyssa, take it away because I'm going to be coughing a lot.
Alrighty. So we can go in chronological order here. Lots of people start or begin to have money issues during college. So
yeah.
I personally paid for my own college. So obviously it was really difficult.
Lucky.
Lucky.
We all can't be so blessed.
No. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week, going to school 15 to 18 hours, a week. And so it was actually really difficult. I had to definitely sacrifice my social life and sleep to be able to, support myself. It was this constant battle of, well, if I go to work, I'm going to have money, but it's going to go straight back to school. But, there were days where I even had to skip class to work just because I was running low on money and I needed to, okay, well, I'm skipping the class, but I have to pay for the class still. So let me just go to work and get the money so I can pay for it.
I'm skipping class.
And then I'm going to go again the next day. It was a huge struggle.
Yeah.
So it was just always that constant battle for me. But I think that finding a job that will financially support you throughout college is obviously step number one. Mm-hmm. Lots of people like to, say, oh, well, I'm working, I have a job, but they take a minimum wage job whenever they do have those, strong financial requirements of them, such as paying for school or whatever else. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have parents that are going to support that, pay for your degree, pay for your car insurance, things like that, then obviously, working those jobs that do pay minimum wage or a little bit more would be more feasible for you, so it kind of depends on everyone's person, obviously.
I think it's also important for you to still work even if your parents are supporting you. Just because it's good to have that expendable cash, but also you start saving now. And you don't sometimes I don't even know what I'm saving for. I think it's important for all of us to have a savings. You don't need to be
saving for anything specific. Car problems. Have you ever heard of a car problem that only costs $20?
No.
Absolutely not. All car problems, first of all, car problems are the most stressful problems because they're always the most costly.
Yeah.
For example, as soon as I saved all this money throughout college, I think I had paid off, that semester for school, I was up to date on my rent payments, things like that, phone bill and all that. And I had an extra $1,000, which
As
was a
soon
lot
as
for
you
a
feel
college
comfortable,
student. I pop a tire or whatever, and I didn't have a spare because I already popped a tire before, and tires are not expensive, so it's just those little things, like life happens. So it's really important, obviously, to just start saving as early as possible. Obviously, that seems like a given, but you'd be surprised. It was really difficult for me to save my money in college, that's for sure.
So here's the thing that a lot of viewers are probably thinking. How can I save when I am living paycheck to paycheck? It's impossible for me to save money because the money that I am spending, I'm not spending on myself. I'm not buying clothes. I'm not buying anything. I'm either paying rent or buying food, paying on my car, and then I have nothing. What advice would you give to them?
I mean, that's a difficult one. That's something that, people our age and younger definitely struggle with and face every single day. I guess my first immediate question to those people would be, are you actually living below your means while you're working paycheck to paycheck? And what that means is, especially for those college students or right out of college, you may think you're living paycheck to paycheck, but what are you doing on the weekends? Are you spending unnecessary money on monthly subscriptions, for like those boxes of clothes that people get? Or are you going out to the bars every single week? Are you, going to the movies when you don't necessarily have to, And obviously it's okay to reward yourself every once in a while. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from, you know what, I worked so hard, I deserve this new shirt. Or I worked so hard, I deserve to go to the movies. But are you doing it every single week? And how often are you eating out? It's really important to, spend your money on things that matter and try to limit yourself on those extracurriculars that aren't 100% necessary.
Yeah.
We've all struggled with living the paycheck to paycheck thing, but I know my biggest flaw with my money is eating out. I love to eat out. I just do. I like to go sit down in a restaurant and eat. It's also really convenient just to stop at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or wherever. And you think, it's only $5, but how often are you spending just that $5? Because $5 here, $5 there, that adds up.
Yeah.
And nowadays, especially in downtown Dallas where we live and work, most jobs will have, you have to park somewhere that you have to pay to park there, and that sucks too, because then that's piling up. My husband, Ryan, he started taking the DART thing, which is like a train that goes from the suburbs, to downtown to work, because he was tired of paying, $7 a day just to park to go to work. And, that is obviously ridiculous, but that's not something that we can control. But using those resources like that, he saved all that money, $7 a day, for, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. That adds up to a lot of money. I obviously can't do the math right now in my head, but that adds up to a lot of money. And if you just, use your resources, figure out a solution, maybe you can carpool. We've got the DART situation here in Dallas. I'm sure that, other cities have buses and things like that to charter you. And yes, it seems, kind of ghetto, kind of, uneasy about it, whatever the case may be. But in reality, lots of people use those resources, and it's really smart to use those resources because, do you really want to spend, first of all, you're not only spending the $7 to park that day, you're spending the toll bill, that it takes for you to get there, all your gas money that it takes for you to get there, things like that. So it's really not just the $7, and even just that $7 adds up to be so much money. I guess my point is, people living paycheck to paycheck, there are things you can do about it. Even though it doesn't seem like it, there are things you can do. Stop eating out, so much. Stop, spending money on things that aren't necessary, things like that. And you should be able to at least save $20 a paycheck. And even that doesn't seem like a lot, but again, small amounts add up in the long run.
Yeah, and I think the key thing to remember is that anytime you think, it's just $2, or I'm going to go out and eat, and I can afford to eat, I can afford to buy, or you spend $12 at Applebee's, but you have to remember, you're also tipping your server too, and maybe you didn't account that into effect, and so every, $5 tip or $6 tip, you just think, that's $5, that's nothing. But if we're constantly tipping servers that much, and I encourage everyone to tip your servers or don't go out to eat, period,
right?
Then every single time that you're doing that, that's $5 you're throwing away that you could have saved. So just like you said, I think anytime that we have those little increments, I think that is the big deal of what makes us realize that we're maybe in a financial bind because of all of those little payments that we're doing here and there. I know for me, one of my faulty things is just those stupid little things online, like a birthday donation. I do those a lot, and I don't know about you, but I am guilty of those, where people are like, hey, it's my birthday, donate to breast cancer, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, like on Facebook.
$20, $10, and oh, that's nothing. And then I'll go on Instagram, and there's an ad for free leggings, but shipping is $12, and I'm like, oh, because they get you with those. They
do get you with those. Or like, okay, have you ever gone to Target and only spent like $30?
No.
Never. Never. And
No.
in reality, like, and for some reason, mine's Walgreens. I go to Walgreens and I spend so much money. And people always make fun of me for that because they're like, oh, Target's always mine. And I'm like, yeah, I like Target too. But like, have you ever been to Walgreens? Walgreens is the best. It's basically a mini Target. I don't know why I love Walgreens so much, but either way, I go in there, you know, to get a Red Bull or something, and I'm walking out with like, you know, makeup remover wipes that I don't need, Vaseline, you know, for nothing, Band-Aids, you know, just stupid stuff like that. And it's like, I didn't need any of this, like at all. Like I could have survived without it. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, you know? Also, just, this is not necessarily something that everyone needs to do, but something that I did in college was I wouldn't buy my textbooks that were quote unquote required until I knew it was actually required. Because I mean, have you ever had a conversation with somebody where they're like, oh my God, I bought this book and we only used it once in class?
Yeah.
Okay, why'd you buy it? You know what I mean? I never bought them unless we're 2 weeks in and they're like, okay, we have a quiz over, you know, chapter 1. And you're just like, oh shit. Like, well, I guess I better go buy that book now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which obviously is a little risky for your grades, but at the same time, like, would you rather spend like the $100, $200 on that book and you know what I mean, and be a little behind in the class? I would have. Like, I did.
Most professors, what they'll do is first day of class, I never buy my books because sometimes you will never use them and you wasted, or in my case, my mom wasted all this money. So what I
Must
do,
be nice.
my mom is very nice. Thank you, Mom. But she gets them on Amazon really, really, really cheap too.
Yeah, that's
so
nice,
I mean, that's also a plus. But first day of school, they'll tell you on the syllabus, these are the books you need. I'll give you a week to get them. So I think even before you start class, don't buy your books. Even if you read the syllabus before school starts and it says it's a required book, don't buy it because they will give you a week. Every single class I've ever had gives me a week or two to get it.
That's true.
And then not only that, but even when I do get it, I've noticed we don't even use it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes like you can Google the things, which is so sad to hear, but you can Google a lot of the things that are in the book.
Oh yeah.
And so what I've been doing now is even my last semester, I just don't buy the books anymore. And I still pass classes.
Yep.
And a lot of the times you can pass an entire class by never looking at the book and just by paying attention, showing up
Take notes. Take go to class.
Everything that they say in lecture, I guarantee is in the book, and the book is just extra. It's just like that extra teacher.
Well, and nowadays they have those books where like you buy the physical book, but you need like the access code in the book to access like the online portion of the class. And in those cases, you don't need to buy the entire book. You can buy just the access code.
Yeah.
Not for every single class, but in my experience, like I think I only needed those online access books like maybe 3 or 4 times, and I only needed to buy the actual hard copy with the access code only one time, because the others do offer you either just the access code or both, and most people would just go ahead and buy both. But it's like, again, that's more money you could be saving, you know, like that access code, that's all you need because it opens the portal to an online book anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want the access code and the online book and the physical copy, or do you just want the access code and the online book, you know?
Another thing is always get used books.
Yes.
I would
never,
but I mean, when you're buying a new book, all you're buying for is just the clean pages.
Yeah.
It's the same content, and it's what, is it like 30-50% cheaper when it's used?
And some people will leave like notes in there, which they're not supposed to.
It's a plus. They'll highlight it
they'll
for
be
you.
like helping you out.
Yeah. I'm like, thanks you. Thanks for the
Thanks
notes.
so much. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying don't buy them ever, because I did have a class where the book was $300. I really didn't want to get it. New, used, anything. It was $300 everywhere because it was this really big textbook. And the reason it was $300 was because you had to have that book to pass the class. Every homework assignment was in that book.
Well, yeah, and
so
that's
you had to have that book.
Yeah, that's the case for several classes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm obviously not trying to discourage people from buying their textbooks either. Sometimes you really genuinely need them. But there are those cases, those nice diamonds in the rough, where you don't need them. And in those cases, obviously, don't waste money on those, because what would be the point of that? Then you have to go return it, and it's just like, ugh, or like try to sell it. Yeah. And that's just an extra hassle, you know, too. As far as like going in college goes, I don't know about you, but I definitely got ripped off for some cash from my apartment complexes. Lots of apartment complexes in your college towns know that it's your first apartment experience, and they're going to take advantage of it. In reality, that's just business. It's not like I can really blame them for trying to rip off people. It's still shitty, but I get it. It's not ethical, but I get it. You know, it's business. But I remember one apartment story that I had was my very first apartment in my college town. So I had to live obviously on campus for the first year, and then we got to, you know, move to apartments. So I was living in this apartment, and like a year like after I'd moved out, I get like this invoice from them, and they're like, hey, like, you owe us $600 for like the new floors in the complex or whatever. And I was like, new floors in my complex? So I, fortunately enough, had a friend who still lived at that complex, and they were like, oh yeah, like they redid every single apartment. There's no more carpet. There's hardwoods now. And so I'm like, are they trying to make me pay for them upgrading their complex? Like, it's not like we stay in the carpet. We didn't have any pets. Like, we were all really clean. And I was like, I know they're not trying to get me to pay for them renovating each unit. You know what I mean? There's no way. So, I mean, I fought it, and they didn't make me pay it. But they know that most kids are not going to fight that. They know that most parents are just going to straight up assume
that their kid ruined the
messed
carpet.
It up. Exactly. And so they're just going to pay it. Yeah. So lots of apartment complexes that are in college towns will try to take advantage of you, and it's really important to stay diligent on those things. Take before and after pictures of whenever you move in and when you move out.
Have a walkthrough.
Have a walkthrough, and you can always ask for somebody who works at the complex to walk it through with you and just say, hey, do you see anything that you want me to touch up in here? Do you see anything that could potentially result in a bill being mailed to me? And then get a signature from them, take pictures, make sure the pictures are dated, and hold on to those, because apartment complexes in college towns will try to rip you off.
I remember my first apartment. I'm very clean, and I remember going up to them, and I said, listen, I don't want to be charged for anything, so please tell me what I need to do for move-up procedure. And they said, you have two options. You can either clean the whole place by yourself and pay, I think it was like $150 just for, because every apartment has to be clean, or don't clean at all, and we'll have a cleaning crew come in, but you have to pay $350 for the cleaning crew. And so I said, I'm very confident in my cleaning skills. I was the first and only person to live in this apartment, so I said, I'm good. I'll pay the, you know, $150.
The $150,
and I'm gonna clean it, because I know that I will do just as good of a job as a cleaning crew if I have a week to clean this whole empty place by myself.
Oh yeah.
So I Swiffered the floors. I spent days in this empty apartment cleaning it. It was immaculate. It was 100% perfect. There were no holes in the walls. I filled in the holes, and everything was perfect. And then I ended up getting an email for a bill for $350 for the cleaning crew, and I was so mad, because I was like, oh, but I didn't take pictures. And so I had all my friends, and they were like, you need to take pictures. So, I mean, what can you do? I learned my lesson. I paid the $350 for the cleaning crew to clean my immaculate apartment. But
no, they were just ripping you off. Yeah. And a lot of times, like you know, in college towns too, instead of you paying your electric bill per unit, what they do is they gather up like what the electric bill is going to cost for the entire complex, and they just divide it up between how many units they have. So if you have like a neighbor who leaves everything plugged in, who you know, is always have all the lights on, they leave them all on, you know, whatever the case may be, and you have a couple neighbors like that, but you yourself, you're unplugging everything, you always have the lights off, you know, you use candles for light because you don't want to pay that bill.
Yeah.
It does not matter. You're going to get charged the same amount that everyone else is going to get charged. That's not always the case, not 100% of the time. But that same freaking complex that tried to charge me for their new floors did that to me. And I remember I called like the electric
Wait, how
company,
did you know? Did you have proof of this, or did
Yeah,
they
so-
explain it to you?
Well, yeah, because we got a bill once for like $89 each, and I had 3 roommates. So I was like, there is no way that we are racking up a $400 electric bill in our, 700 square foot apartment. There's no way.
And were you all home, all using lights all the time?
I was never home because I just pretty much lived with Ryan, and my roommate had the same situation. She just kind of lived with her boyfriend, and then our other 2 roommates, they were there, but there's no possible way they spent $400 on an electric bill. I don't even have that nowadays in Dallas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, there is no possible way. So I called the apartment complex, and they're like, listen, we actually don't have this information. You're going to have to call the electric company if you want to dispute this. And I was like, well, I'm disputing it. So I called the electric
every
company.
complex's worst nightmare.
I am because I'm not going to get fucked over because y'all, don't whatever. So
Yeah.
I called the electric company, and they're like, oh, well, that complex actually has it set up to where, you're not paying for your specific unit. You're paying for all
whole
the units
floor.
divided. You know what I mean? So if the apartment complex, has 400 units.
Yeah.
Okay. And the bill, is however much, they just divide it by 400 instead of okay, this unit spent this much money, this unit spent this much money. And it would be really difficult for them to track down by unit just because each building has its own box, right? So I get it somewhat, but at the same time, that's another thing to look out for, for you first time apartment livers. Is that a word? Just to be on the lookout for those things. And also you can ask these questions before you even sign a lease. Because obviously whenever you sign a lease, you're pretty much signing your life away.
I honestly didn't even know that. This is the first time I'm hearing about that. And it makes me want to test it and have someone just never use any electricity in an apartment for a month.
And see if they get a bill.
there's some freak living on there and
Some freak.
using all of the electricity and you're paying for some of it.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see because that's insane. I didn't even know about that.
Yep, they tried to screw me, and I was like, listen, my roommates and I are not paying this. I'm sorry, we ended up paying it, LOL. But but it was our own fault because it was spelled out in the lease. A lot of ways you can also lose money is not reading your lease carefully. They'll try to charge you for all kinds of crap, and you're just like, oh, well, what the hell is this for? And they're like, oh, it's in the lease. You should have read it. And in reality, yeah, you should have read it. If you're ever signing a contract, always read it. And it's going to take a while and it's going to be annoying, but you have got to read the lease.
Yeah.
Lots of ways that they can screw you over for money just in that lease alone.
Yeah.
Trash pickup is one, water bills, things like that. So obviously always read the lease.
I like having valet trash. I think one thing, if you're looking for an apartment, you should have some key things in mind of what are your non-negotiables. And for me, funny enough, one of my non-negotiables was valet trash. Just because I'm lazy.
So convenient. It's so convenient. Because
yeah.
what if you're living on the complete opposite end of the complex from the dumpster?
Yeah,
that
you
sucks.
have
You have to walk it all the way over there. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
so it's pretty
for
nice.
girls.
Another thing is be aware of the surroundings of the area. Is it gated? What are the type of people that live there? The quality of people?
Oh, yeah.
Are you...
It's true. Okay, so I used to drive a convertible, car, but back then, the convertibles weren't fancy. They were cloth, instead of metal. So you remember my old Mustang.
I like that Mustang.
R.I.P. It was the best. So that same freaking complex, okay, with the floors and the electric bill, that same one day my roof was sliced open. Yeah. And I was so mad. And the thing is, they didn't even take anything. It was just sliced open for shits and gigs, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had one of those radios. You remember back in the day, those radios you can get installed where you press a button and you can take it off, and take it, hide it in your glove box or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not attached to the car. It's
Yeah.
just something you can add on. So I had one of those in there. I had some cash because I was, a server and a bartender. I had some cash in the glove box. I had a car charger, stuff like that. They didn't take anything. They just slashed the roof for no reason. I was honest to God, I almost wish they did take something because it would have been almost worth it for them to slash it, but they just slashed it for no reason.
Well, they probably somebody screamed at them right after they slashed your roof, and so they had a chance to get in there.
Oh, and they didn't have any cameras either. So then I went to the office and I was like, hey, do you have any cameras? Because some douchebag, sliced my roof open. And they're like, oh, no, sorry, So moving into a place that has high security should also be definitely a top priority for people who are moving into apartments for the first time or just in general. Obviously, that seems like common sense, but again, you'd be surprised.
Ziggy, do you have any apartment stories or any advice you can think of for new apartment owners?
Be very careful if you go random on your roommate. Did you guys ever do that?
Ooh, yeah.
No, I didn't.
I did.
So I went random pretty much every year, and my senior year, I ended up being put in an apartment with 2 sophomores, and it was their first time ever having an apartment, and it was very inconvenient because it took about all of a day for me to realize that one of my roommates had decided to start selling weed out of our apartment.
Oh God.
And so I had like a long conversation with him of like, if you're going to do this, don't do this at our place.
Yeah.
And he did not listen to me. And we got raided about 2 months into the school year. Yeah, that was a fun Tuesday night. No, it was the Norman Sheriff's Department. I think.
The real police.
Like the actual police,
Yeah.
not like Paul
God.
Blart, but like actual people.
I guess it would have been Cleveland County Sheriff's Department.
Wow.
Wow.
I actually have a similar story. It didn't happen to me, but my neighbor, her very first dorm room, she had a roommate who was pirating movies, and not
that
even
is
joking.
so dumb.
But okay, this had to be because she's a lot older than me, and so it had to have been like
Well, yeah, this
maybe
happened
late
in 1997,
90s.
right?
Yeah, so it was kind of big then, but I don't know if it was porn, but it was pretty. It was bad enough to the point where the roommate wasn't in the dorm, but my neighbor was home. And the police knocked her door down and came in.
Oh, shit.
And she was the one that was interrogated because from that vicinity,
Yikes, yeah.
they found out that there was shady stuff going on online.
So that's my favorite part of the raid that we had happen was my roommate was not only a weed dealer. He was a very shitty weed dealer.
Like oregano.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was because I love this story so much. So we're sitting on the couch just playing video games, and
Naturally.
and there's a knock at the door.
Oh no.
And so I immediately get up to like, hey, I'm not expecting anyone.
Yeah.
Are you guys expecting anyone? And
Constant paranoia due to the drugs.
yeah,
Got it.
like I know my business, and so I like it is what it is. But he goes no, and then he opens the door.
I hate him.
It's like so I'm not expecting anyone. Are you guys expecting anyone?
No.
I wonder who
is
it is.
But I am a drug dealer who might be out on the on the lookout.
Look, it's 2 sheriff's deputies.
Interesting. Hello, officer. To what do I owe the pleasure? Oh, you're already inside. Great. God, oh, God, we need to have a whole episode about roommates.
I could go on. I have horror stories that would take
God.
20 minutes.
I have
to
such
explain.
a good story.
We'll make that our next podcast.
Okay.
Bad roommates.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay, but for this one, as far as apartments go, back to the budgeting aspect, it's real easy to tour a bunch of apartments and pick the nicest one, right? But in reality, you don't want to pick the worst one. You don't want to pick the nicest one because the nicest one is obviously going to be more expensive. You definitely get what you pay for.
You're paying for those amenities that you're probably not going to use.
Exactly.
The very,
You're
very
just like,
nice pool with a bar.
Exactly. You're going to use that maybe once or twice whenever you have a friend that could live there that's making more money than you. Just use the pool with them,
Right.
They have a really nice gym, even though we already pay for a gym with the university on campus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So for those amenities, really, really, really think about realistically, am I going to be using these things at all? And how often, if so? And then also, again, living below your means. If you're bringing in, I'm going to say, a relatively low number because we're still talking about college times, right? So let's just say you're bringing in, just to be basic, $1,000 a month just from serving, waiting tables, working retail, whatever you want to be doing. You're bringing in $1,000 a month. Okay, let's say that your rent, could be either $600 or $400. Again, this seems so obvious, but you'd so be surprised. Go with the lower number. If it looks like it's going to be a reasonable place to live, like go with the lower number. And also in college towns, the weird thing is the more roommates you have, the lesser the rent is, which you'd think would be kind of like flipped just because obviously obviously the more roommates you have, the bigger the place is. But the more roommates you have, the cheaper the rent's going to be. So find 3 or 4 people that you can, you know, not want to fight, you know, like on a daily basis, and try to live with them just to make your rent cheaper. Like, because the cheaper, the better. The earlier you can start saving money, the better.
I think one mistake that I had my freshman, sophomore year is I was thinking, you know, I'm bringing in this much money. If my rent is, you know, like, let's do the 1,000 again. Okay. If my rent is, because what I did would be, I'm going to go with the $600 one because I'm bringing in 1,000.
Exactly.
I can afford the $600 one, right? But then you have to factor in groceries. You need to factor in books for sure. Tuition. I know I had to pay some of my tuition.
Phone bill, really any other bills, phone bills.
I have
and the
a
thing
car
is,
payment too.
Yeah, oh yeah, car payments. And the thing is, whenever you sign a lease with your apartment, some complexes will include like trash and water, and then some don't. Definitely go for the ones that include something, okay? Like always. So, because if it's factored into your rent, then you're not going to get those extra bills for, you know, $100, you know, for electric, you know, or whatever the case may be. So always go for the ones that include some of the stuff into your lease. But then also, like, if they don't, you have to factor those things in. Okay, I need to pay for internet every month, and some places now force you to bundle like DirecTV or whatever, you know, or, you know, something besides cable, or even just
Sometimes
cable
you don't
with
even
your
watch
internet.
TV,
And you don't even use it. Yeah. So you have to factor in those things too. Like, you're going to obviously need internet, you know, for your schooling, you know, studying and things like that. You're going to want Wi-Fi just for your own like phone use purposes too. So you're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to pay for, you know,
Netflix,
electric, water, everything
Hulu.
else. Yeah. All of it starts to pile up. So obviously always go with the cheaper option. You know, I remember whenever I was in college, after I moved out of that shitty apartment, I was looking at others and I was like, okay, there's this nice one that looks nice. I can live with 3 other people. I know 3 other people are wanting to live there. So I can either live there or I can live with one other person, and it's only $100 more expensive. And I'm like, okay, now that's when the dilemma starts to kick in. Would I rather live with 3 people or one other person for an extra $100? Again, $100 is $100.
You have to see what's worth it. Balance it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I ended up going with the 3 that year, and then I went with the 1 the year after that. So, you know, it's all about balance. But I mean, obviously, experiences, you know, will allow everyone to learn like how they're able to live, you know, with people and things like that. My little sister, for example, she's a terrible roommate. Like, terrible. She tells me horror stories about her and her roommate. She's like, my roommate, you know, did this, and so I, you know, whatever. And I'm just like, Ashley, you're always in the wrong. Like, every story you tell me, you're the bad roommate.
I hate that.
I know, but I have to tell her that because, you know, how else is she gonna know? But either way, you know, you have to obviously figure out like, you know, your patience level, things like that. But always go with the cheaper options for the apartments.
There's apps that will actually help you guys to budget out your spending and then how much you're making. So I think the first thing that you should do when it comes to not only apartments but just budgeting in general is set up autopay. For me,
for everything,
I have autopay on my apartment, my car, my even those little things like, this is kind of weird, but like I have subscriptions to like just things that'll come to me monthly.
See, unnecessary.
And well, they're period products, but
interesting. All right, well,
but like
oopsie.
even those
what, like bustles, dresses,
no
candelabras.
Candy. They have this one called Candy Club that sends you candy every month. God, I've been so tempted to sign up for that so many times.
I don't buy like the products. Like, I just have a company that mails me once a month my stuff, and I just pay $8 a month just for a box of the period stuff.
Tampons and shit.
Right, yeah. So I don't have to go to the store and get it.
Cool.
They just mail it to me, which is great. But I have that on autopay. Like, every single thing that I have that's coming to me is on autopay. Not only that, but my credit cards. I have a Firestone card because my brakes broke and I had to pay $2,000. I couldn't afford the $2,000 at the time. So, you know, I think I paid like $1,000, and then the other $1,000 I put on a credit card, and I've been paying that. And another thing with those is never pay the minimum on those credit cards. I think that my minimum is like $23, and I'm paying at least $100 a month on those breaks just because I want to pay off that credit card and keep my good credit. But I have that on autopay, so I'm not going to be late on any of those payments.
Yeah.
So I think the number one step is to be on autopay. I think your
download
second thing,
the apps for all those things for sure. Like I'm financing my student loan through a company called Nelnet. And they're really great, actually. Like customer service is awesome, you know, whatever. But I have that set up on autopay too, and I have the app downloaded onto my phone just in case. You know what I mean? Like if you know, are like, okay, I'm actually kind of stretched for money this month. Let's see. I know everything. Like this bill comes out of my account on this day. This one comes out of my account on this day. I can't remember about that third one. What do I do? That way you have really easy access to the app. You know, do the fingerprint. I always forget my passwords to all these different apps too.
Yeah, me too.
So it's like if you just have the fingerprint, it's a lot easier just to log in and be able to track it before it gets taken out automatically too. If you have all the apps downloaded, your banking app downloaded, anything that you have automatically coming out, your car insurance. There's always apps for all the car insurance policies too. Phone bills, there's apps for every single thing nowadays. Download all the apps, keep them in one folder on your phone, and that way it's quick references to each thing that you're paying each month. Even if it is set up on autopay, you can always track your bill too and make sure that you're on the same page with the date that it'll be coming out of your account on.
I have this app called Clarity Money, and I have it pulled up right now. So what it does is I sync it to my bank, and it shows how much I've spent every month. It shows what I spend on retail, on food. It has my income, so it's like you've made this much money so far. And because I work for my own business, I never know what my income's going to be every month. So it's nice to see how much I'm making a month and then how much I can spend for that month. And just because I'm making a certain amount of money doesn't mean I can spend that much money. Yeah. So that app really helps me to know, you know, what is my expendable cash and what is, you know, my rent, my car. So I get those out of the way first. So my rent is going to be the biggest chunk, then my car, then I have those, you know, smaller subscription payments. I have my credit cards. I pay for ads for Facebook and for Instagram, for different wedding sites, but I need to pay for those ads to keep my business running. Right. So those payments I pay every month are a must-have, just like rent is. So you put all those in onto this app, Clarity Money. And what it does is it allows you to just keep a budget of everything. And it's very visual. There's pie charts, there's lots of colors. You can kind of see everything. And then not only that, but there's a savings portion where you can put, I want to save $5 every Monday. And you click on Let's Do It, and you can instantly just start saving $5 every Monday, or you could do it every Tuesday. So you're just saving, you know, $5 goes a long way, like we said before.
Oh, yeah.
So you can just save $5 a week.
I'm sure that app also puts into perspective for you, like how much money you're spending on the unnecessary things. You know, like with the pie chart, for example, it'll say like, you know, you spent this much money on bills, this much money on, you know, entertainment, things like that, and then this much money on things that nobody needs. You know, so it'll divvy all that up for you and be like, and it really puts it into perspective for you. Like, wow, last month I literally spent $400 on eating out. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I had spent $100 on groceries, I could have had $300 in my pocket extra right this very second.
Oh, God, yeah.
And contributing a little bit of your money, like every month, really helps, which is also so important, like to talk to your employers about a 401k. 401k is something that obviously goes towards your retirement. For those of you who don't know what a 401k, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a 401k is. But either way, 401k is so important for any career path that you go in. Always ask that during the interview process if that's an option for you, because it's the same situation. It takes that money out of your paycheck, puts into, you know, savings, and that's it. That's your retirement money right there. So that's another easy way to blindly save money. You never see the money, so it doesn't feel like you're losing anything. And then one day when you retire, you just have all this money, and it's amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, 401k is very important, very important. Going back to the credit thing now, I like how you brought up the credit card. Obviously, credit is something that can follow you everywhere you go. It's definitely something that everyone should be conscious and aware of. For me personally, I have 3 credit cards. And all of them, you know, I've been taught, at least by my mom, to only spend 20% of whatever the limit is, you know, for that card.
And always have a credit card.
Yeah, and
you're
then
not
pay it
saving
off.
your credit by having no credit cards.
Yeah, I mean,
you need to have some sort of debt to have good credit.
Actually, a super easy way to build credit is I got this advice. Set up your bills or certain bills to auto pay from your credit card, and then set up your bank account to immediately auto pay back your credit card.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
smart.
that is smart.
That's really smart.
Yeah, so like if you your light bill or your rent, you know it's going to be a certain amount every month. So you just set that up so you're immediately paying back on your credit card, so you're not accruing interest, but you're paying back on your credit card, so you're building credit with the credit card company.
That's great.
That is genius. I'm actually going to set that up. I'm not kidding. That's genius.
Yeah.
I definitely, I have one of my credit cards set up to one of my bills because my credit limit on one of my credit cards is like $1,000, and one of my bills is like $183. You know what I mean, or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's like my car insurance thing. Don't judge me. I'm not a good driver. So just to get a little personal here. So with that being said, that comes out every single month, of my credit card, and I'm only using less than 20% of my allotted credit, and then I immediately pay it off every month after that, that also will, if you do want to set up auto pay for everything, it's not like just draining all your money at once. Like you still have some like extra cash in your, debit card, like your checking account. There we go. I was like, what's the word? in your checking account, and that way you're like, oh crap, in case all your bills come out and then you have some freak accident happen where you do pop a tire or something happens to where you need that extra cash, you still have it, and you can always like put off paying your credit card, obviously still within the month, but maybe till your next paycheck, something like that. So I think it's very important for people to start building their credit. Like you can have like a low credit score, but your credit still be in good standing if you don't have much credit, just because they can't really say you have bad credit if you have no credit, right? But they can't say your credit's good or great if you have no credit either. It's really important to start building credit. I'd say at the age 18. The earlier, the better.
Oh, yeah.
My mom, she didn't do this for me because obviously guinea pig child, firstborn. But for my little sister now, she opened up a credit card in my sister's name and gives it to her and says, you only use this for gas, nothing else. It's a gas card for her. So my sister just uses it for gas and my mom just pays it off. And in the meanwhile, my sister's credit is like, shooting
she's getting
through the roof.
credit.
Yeah, because, my mom's able to pay it off for her, and things like that. But again, it's only 20% or less of, the maximum like credit that you have per card. It's real easy to qualify for credit cards. A lot of times if you go to the bank, they'll also say like this one, specifically would work out really well for you. They've got some for like people who travel a lot. They've got some like quick credit builders, they've got some student ones. They've got all different kinds. There's hundreds of different credit cards out there, and your bank can really help you figure out which one is best for you.
And I know Discover Card helped me during school because they have a good student reward system where your grades will actually help you. I think it's like earn cash back or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just being a student alone, having a grade, so you can actually get cash on your card for Discover.
Oh,
so that's pretty nice.
Well, one of my credit cards does the same thing. It's like I get 3% back on gas, 2% back on groceries, and 1% back on everything else, or something like that. And every month it ends up being, well, not even every month, but every like long while it ends up being like $30 here and there. You know what I mean? But again, that adds up. That's $30 extra that I pretty much got for free just for using my credit card. So that's always nice too. There's lots of different apps out there. Can you say the name of your app one more time?
Mine is called Clarity Money.
Clarity Money. So that's obviously a really good one. It really puts everything into perspective for you. It's really user friendly. There's also ones called Mint, Pocket Guard, Level Money, Dollar Bird, IOU, Capital, but with a Q, not a C, Digit, Personal Capital, Good Budget, Spendy, and Albert. Those are just a couple, but they are on the top 15 budget apps list from a few different websites that we've researched before the show. Also, there's an app called Acorn or Acorns. I can't remember which one it is, but my husband uses it. And this one's really cool because pretty much what it does is, let's say, you buy something that's like $5.40, or whatever. So what the Acorns app does is it links to your debit card or your checking account, your bank account, whatever, and it takes out like the change rounding up to the next dollar. So if you spend like $5.40 on something, it'll put 60 cents into this account somewhere else. And again, I know that seems like really little, but Ryan and I, we were able to save $1,000 in just 6 months from that app. because it adds
Wow.
up so quickly. Because I mean, you're using your debit card every single day, right? I mean,
And to you, you're just losing 60 cents.
yeah, I
over,
mean, you're
like,
just rounding up to the dollar. That's it, you know. And even if it's like 1 cent here and there, like you buy something for like $4.99 and it's like 1 cent, you know. But all of that accumulated up, like we literally saved $1,000 in 6 months.
Is it linked to your bank accounts? If you
Yeah.
spend like $18.90, it puts 10 cents into Acorn.
into the app, yeah.
and so
then-
that's like a little savings of just cents that adds up and up
Yep.
and up.
And there's no penalty for taking it out. It's not like you have to leave it in there for a certain amount of time. Some checking accounts, or I mean, not checking accounts, sorry, some saving accounts, if you put the money away, you actually get penalized for taking it out before a certain amount of time. I had one of those through high school because I was trying to save for college, and it told me that I couldn't take it out for like 3 years. And, you know, right at the 3-year mark, I was able to take it out, but I tried to take it out at 2 years, and they were like, you're going to have to pay $200 or something like to get it out. And I was like, I'm not paying $200 for my own money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, that's kind of like the incentive to not use it, to save more.
It's
but,
like a piggy bank.
yeah. But with this Acorns app, it's literally exactly like a piggy bank. There's no penalty for withdrawing it, and it just goes straight into your bank account because again, it's linked. So you just slide it back over. That's it. It's real simple, really easy to use, and again, we saved $1,000 in just 6 months. We did. So I mean, and anyone else can too, you know. But it was really beneficial. So my car got totaled, or it didn't get totaled, but it broke down. Pretty much was totaled because repairing it would have cost more than fixing it. This happened 2 weeks ago or so. And we were able to use that Acorns money to help out with a down payment for my new car. So again, life happens, you know, and that's like one of the easiest ways to save money is just have that rounded dollar like into a random pile, you know, electronically somewhere, and then to withdraw it whenever you need it. We were planning on just letting it accumulate until we wanted to buy a house and then just use part of that for like a down payment on a house. But again, stuff happens, and now I'm able to have a new car, and you know, that was the easiest way to get that extra money.
I think it's good even not only to have one savings, but maybe have another called Stuff Happens. And just
Yeah.
like have that extra savings just for that time, because it will happen for that time, you know, car breaks down, you randomly have some form of large payment that you have to pay this week and you're in trouble.
What if your house catches on fire? What if, I mean, seriously,
There's
I know it
always
sounds
a
kinda
what
crazy,
if,
but-
or stuff happens, or, you know, just something crazy that you would have never expected.
Oh yeah, but if you budget for things to happen,
Yeah.
you're golden.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely one of the most important things to take out of this is you got to budget for things that you think are not going to happen.
Yeah. And again, we're not 100% qualified to be giving any advice whatsoever, but we've done lots of research. Lexi and I have both been financially independent for so many years, and we just know that some people our age aren't, you know, 100% financially independent just yet. And there's really no reason to be ashamed of that either. Like if my parents were still wanting to support me right now, like I'd probably take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I know that there's like this like negative like stigma behind like moving back in with your parents after college. Everyone's like, oh, like that loser moved back home. To avoid a rent payment, like sure, I did it. After college, I moved back home. And the thing is, I wasn't even intending to, but like I graduated like 8 months before Ryan did. So I was like, okay, as soon as Ryan, you know, gets home, we'll just move in together. So I'll just live with my mom for now, you know? And I mean, think of all the money I saved not having, you know, to pay rent for 8 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Take advantage of those things. Always take advantage of any resources. That's what the resources are there for you to take advantage of them. You know, there's no like, no one's going to judge you for taking advantage of resources like that, especially right after college and you moving back home for a new job or whatever. There's just a lot of pressure to try to find a place, you know, also have a new job, you know, you got all this stuff going on. That's just a lot. I mean, take advantage of moving back home, I think. What do you think?
I think so too. I totally agree. I know my parents really want me to move back home, but for me personally, with the way that I live and the way, because I do edit pictures and I edit video and there's kids back home and the environment is just kind of very kind of loud and
kind of chaotic,
and
yeah.
we eat very differently. Like I'm vegetarian and they eat out a lot, and I think we live very different lifestyles, and I'm kind of a more reserved and quiet person, and I'm introverted. So with my aspect alone, I personally am not living back at home, but that's not to say that I would give the advice of anyone else in a circumstance where they have the option, I would definitely tell them you should definitely move back home.
Yeah.
But for me personally, with my circumstances, I'm not. But if people have different circumstances, definitely go back home.
No, and the thing is, like, I didn't want to move back home at all. You know, and I was like, I can easily afford a place. Like, I can easily do all this stuff. You know, like, I'm not going to do it, but whatever. I ended up doing it.
Yeah.
And I was, like, miserable. It sucks to, like, have all your freedom, like, all throughout college and then just have it stripped away so fast by moving back home.
That's another thing, yeah.
So don't get me wrong. There are definitely, you know, some... I want to say negative things, but there are definitely things that would, you know,
and everyone's
prevent
parents
people
are different
from,
too. So,
yeah. I mean, I didn't want to, don't get me wrong, but I am glad I did because I was able to save all that money. And realistically, like, your first job out of college is not paying you the moon and stars. So you may think that you'd be able to afford it, but like, you honestly may not. And you may not even know that you can't afford it until you're already in the situation. And then you're like, oh crap, I'd so much rather know that I can't afford it not having to afford it than know I can't afford it with rent due, you know, in a month. You know what I mean?
I think to bounce back of your first job right out of college, I think a lot of millennials, they get this idea that I have my bachelor's or even my master's even, and I am very qualified and I'm ready to get in there and make close to 6 figures. And that's not always the case. You know, you got to start out doing the
first job.
It's never the case. You really need to start out doing the grunt work. And a lot of the times you are overqualified to be working your first job. That's how it is. I know for you, definitely. I know you're so talented, but you're doing
thanks, babe.
But you're doing a lot of stuff that I know that you could be doing more and you could be bigger than what you are.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not crying about it because I get it. Like, I mean, at my, you know, news job right now, I mean, I'm by far the youngest person there. You know what I mean? And who's to say that I, you know, my bitch ass can just walk up in there and like kick somebody out who's been working there for 40 years, you know, building like all this rapport and like, you know, all these skill sets and whatever. And I know that there's still things for me to learn. And same thing goes for you. You're amazing also. All of us are obviously, we graduated, you know, like we have skill sets, but it does not matter.
You need
like,
to push through.
You have to prove yourself.
Yeah,
like,
prove
you
yourself.
know that you're good. Your friends know that you're good. But like, do these new employers know you at all? No. They've talked to you 2 or 3 times for interviews. You know, it's okay to do the grunt work. And we've said this before in our pet peeves episode, I think. But we basically talked about people who think that they, you know, deserve everything, you know, and they're just like, I'm quitting my job because
the world owes them a job.
Yeah, because the
degree.
world owes me, you know, all this money, and I deserve to be the CEO, even though I'm only, you know, 24. Yeah. Like, okay, like, calm down, you know, it's gonna be okay. Like, the CEO right now had to work hard, and so will you.
Yeah,
and that's the bottom line.
They need to watch you and see that you're capable of putting your pride away and doing the things that they all had to do so you can work your way up there. And a lot of the times people leave their job because they've been there a year, 2 years, and they're not moving up. But the thing is you have to be there a long time so you can move up and get to the point where you do start making more money. And they want to see that. They want to see someone who's going to be waiting a while and say, okay, this person, they've done their time and they're finally getting there. They're finally getting there.
And if you leave a job like to go to a very similar position but at a different company who promises you that you'll move up, that's just defeating the purpose of leaving a job. If you're going to leave a job for a legit promotion or a legitimate like higher position with more money, that's totally fine. Like after a year or two, like, you know, I get it personally, but I know so many people our age who left their job after like 5-6 months because they're like, I haven't gotten a raise and I you know, I'm not the boss yet, so I'm quitting.
Yeah.
Okay, like, good luck ever being the boss. Good luck ever getting a raise.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, but either way, back to the, you know, money thing, like, knowing when to ask for a raise is also a whole different, you know, ball game. But I think we're actually out of time anyways, so that's the problem. But we already decided what we're going to talk about next week, which is bad roommates. I have so many stories.
We had a different topic, but now that we were talking about apartments and
that'll
then roommates,
be a funny one.
I have a lot of funny stories and horror stories.
God.
But yeah, I think that'll be a really funny episode, and we can just really. And I'm sure Ziggy,
Ziggy's got some roommate issues. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you guys my famous rabbit story. My famous rabbit story. Everyone who knows me and knows the story knows what I'm talking about, and this rabbit story is going to be the best story you'll ever hear.
And I'll tell you guys about the story of my roommate that watched me sleep and stole from me. So
All coming up next time on the Millennial Monologues podcast.
And I'll tell you more stories of why sophomores are just kind of dumb.
Yes, they're terrible. Okay, so roommate stories next time. How to prevent getting stuck in a terrible roommate situation.
Ooh.
We'll have lots of tips and tricks and also stories coming up next week on the Millennial Monologues podcast. Tune in every single Tuesday night from 7 to 8 live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on the onairmedia.com website. You can catch us on your own time anytime on
millennialmonologues.com. Thanks, guys.
See you next time. Sing it!